Well, for some cheering news just in now, Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Group Afenifere has backed the 60 members of the House of Representatives over the return to parliamentary democracy, saying that this actually fits in line with the 1963 constitution that they have been canvassing for Nigeria to return to. Well, I'm now being joined right now by the member representing Kebbe Tambuwal constituency of Sokoto State in the House of Representatives, and who is also the spokesman of the House of Reps members presenting the bill, Abdussamad Dasuki. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Samuel.
Yes, so what makes this bill different from that of 2018, when about 71 members of the House of Representatives also stood up to actually canvass for this until, it just faded away?
In 2018, it didn't fade away. If you recall, the process was started in December in 2018, which was just about a few months to the general elections. And after the general election, some of us that are part of that bill couldn't make it back to the National Assembly then. And somehow, somewhere, it didn't come up in the 9th Assembly. But a good number of us that were there in the 8th Assembly, and by God's grace are together in the 10th Assembly, we started the process. Immediately we got sworn in and started putting acts together to see how we can come up with this. But due to the litigations all over, we decided to be working on the ground to have these bills ready while all litigations were waiting to make sure that we terminate litigations. And like you could see, by January, all litigations were over. The inconclusive elections were over. And by February, we have decided to bring this debate because we believe this is what is most important to Nigerian people at this point in time.
Yeah, and you say it's actually a bipartisan group of lawmakers that are pursuing this. Can you just give us an insight into the composition of the 60 lawmakers?
Well, we have representatives from all parties, from all regions. I think from all the 6 geopolitical zones, we have representatives. In this bill, we have members. From all parties, we have members that are part of the sponsors in this bill. Right. And in the last couple of days, more members are calling to be part of this all-important bill.
Yeah, and people are also beginning to ask if you've really taken a critical look at this parliamentary proposal that you're bringing in place, considering what happened between 1960 and 1966, the Independence Constitution. But prior to then, we had the Lit-Liting Constitution of 1954, which we had practiced this democracy, parliamentary democracy, before we got to independence. And people were beginning to see the flaws of the system. Parties were becoming regional, and then getting to form a coalition government becomes difficult because one party can't form government at the center. And then, of course, you could see what happened in 1966. Have you taken a critical look at how parliamentary system of government can create instability in government?
I think these are part of the things that we looked at. And most importantly, what I will have to ask you, or what we have to tell Nigerians, is between 1999 to date, every year, every election, we say last is better than this. So if we all agree, unanimously as a nation, we believe there's something fundamentally wrong. Yes, we had a stretch of military rule, but the very few years that we've practiced the parliamentary system, like me that I'm coming from the northern part of the country, till today, we are proud of Sir Ahmadu Bello. If you go to the southwest, it's the same thing. So they were the founding fathers. They were the ones that laid the foundation for what we are enjoying today. Since after that First Republic, till date, we are struggling. I'm sorry to say, but we are all talking. Nobody will have thought a time will come in Nigeria that will say President Jonathan 100 times better than President Buhari. Yeah, the individuals are good, but there's something fundamentally wrong with the system. You and I, we know there's something fundamentally wrong. For example, the foundation of our democracy is where? From the local government. But what is happening in the local government? If you look at the current constitution, vis-a-vis the way the local governments are being run in the states. So if we have a shaky, faulty foundation, how can we move forward? Everybody is complaining. There are different categories of restructure, let's change. But the fundamental thing is that the system has some issues, fundamental issues, which we have to look at and which we are looking at. By God's grace, we are saddled with the responsibility of making good governance, laws to govern our people. And that's what we are doing. And there is no better time to start that discussion than now. We believe that in the next couple of days, like you have seen, the moment we started this on Wednesday, a good number of Nigerians are coming out to say this is the way forward. And the government, or what we are practicing, is why we are in the crisis we are facing today. The leaders are far away. The governors, the president, you cannot discuss with them. But in the parliamentary system, like I've said in the First Republic, see what happens. We sit down together with the leaders. They determine what is supposed to be done and is implemented after being determined. Ministers have to be elected. Once you are elected, then when you come to the parliament, that's when you become a minister. Because you know what your people desire. You know what they want. Unlike what we are practicing now, a good number of the ministers, with due respect to where they're coming from, don't know what even the people want. And that's why you can see sometimes there's always clash between them and the National Assembly, because we know what the people want. So I believe, or strongly with my colleagues, we believe there's something fundamentally wrong. And the solution, we are not saying we have the best of the best solutions, but we know to move forward, at least we have an idea of where we are coming from as a nation. For us to know where we are coming from, then where are we heading to? In the last 25 years, we keep asking that question. And so for us, we believe this is one of the solutions. We have an idea of where we are heading to because we know where we are coming from. But before now, we just keep lamenting, no solutions. But we believe that if we are able to practice this, have the governance in the parliamentary system, where there's check and balance, where we determine what to be done and is being executed and is being checkmated by the colleagues there, it will definitely be different and it will take us to where our founding fathers have always wanted to see us go. Yeah,
and the fears actually are that you create a weaker center if you run a parliamentary system of government. And you and I know how Nigerians are very difficult to obey laws at times and all of that. So the founders of the 1979 Constitution, which the 1999 Constitution is an offshoot of, actually thought it wise then that we should have someone who looked like an autocratic president to be able to bind the country together. Though some people are saying that it looked more military than democratic. Don't you think that we may fall back to that situation whereby there's a weaker center where you have a Tafawa Balewa, for example, receiving instruction from Ahmadu Bello in Kaduna, who's a regional premier?
Sumner, what you are saying, we are back to, it was a military constitution even then. The influence was by the military. So what we are saying, the whole idea of this debate is we want to have a people's constitution. We want to have the buy-in of Nigerians. We want this debate. We want it to be across all strata of life. We want the civil society organizations. We want the religious leaders. We want the traditional leaders. We want the political leaders. Just like you've rightly said, one of the regional bloc has said that this is the way forward. They are not the only ones. Even amongst us here, there are some leaders that are already reaching out. They are saying, look, this we believe is the solution going forward. So what you have said, these are military constitutions. For once, we want to discuss. Let's have a consensus. Let's have a constitution of the Nigerian people for the Nigerian people. That's why if you look at the constitution, you say we the people, we the people. That's why we have started this discussion, because we want we the people's constitution.
Yeah, and if you have a weaker center, it may actually betray the foundations of the country. That's what some of the people who are opposed to this are saying. That parliamentary democracy haven't seen what we did with it in 10 years when we practiced it, created a weaker center and stronger regions. How do you react to that?
Well, if you look at, if you say a weaker center, we have to define what you call weak, because these are things that we are discussing. If we look at it, yes, we all believe we need to shed weight in the center now. And that is what we're asking for. There are so many things that we believe shouldn't be with the center, a lot of them. There are a few things that the center should concentrate with and coordinate. So it's part of the discussions we are bringing before Nigeria or before Nigerians. So as far as we are concerned, is that what we are doing is not only helping the grassroots or the foundation of making our people or our democracy sustainable and for our people to benefit from this democracy. But as of today, the outcry is too much and something has to be done. And we believe this is one of the solutions to virtually all the problems we are facing as a nation.
And one of the criticism we have also is that the National Assembly has also contributed to the failure of the presidential system of government, because you don't do your oversight very well and you fail to checkmate the executive. So if we go into a parliamentary system of government, how are we sure that the parliament will live up to its constitutional responsibility?
You see, here we are talking of how leaders emerge. It's part of the things we have to look at. The emergence of the leaders, it has to be looked into. And if we have a system that we, or leaders in most cases, emerge the way they do, we'll keep having the same problem. But where you go to the parliament, or you go and get elected to the parliament, and your people know this is what you are here to do, I assure you there is no constituency that will not be struggling to get its best to represent it in the parliament. So emergence of leaders is one of the problems that we're facing today. So with the parliamentary system, we expect it to checkmate all this and give us the best to come and lead us.
And Honorable Member, you understand that in a parliamentary system of government, you could just get someone elected, for example, in Yenagoa, a very small constituency, or you go to maybe somewhere like Oka, or you go to maybe somewhere like, including Abuja here, Abaji. So someone gets elected from a small constituency and then becomes the prime minister when he hasn't canvassed for votes across the country. And so he or she may have a very low knowledge of the entire country he or she is supposed to actually govern. And so people are saying, isn't it time for you to actually take a critical look at that you may be bringing up someone who may not have a proper understanding of the country through a parliamentary system?
Well, if you look at it, he's being elected there by a representative of Nigerians, majority. So if they believe he has the capacity and what it takes to take us to the promised land, so be it. Because in the parliament, you are elected by parliamentarians who are elected by Nigerians. Yeah. And you are being elected because people believe you have what it takes to represent them. So when you go there, you brainstorm. So if wherever you come from, whichever part of the country, if you have the capacity to drive us forward, come and lead us. Yeah. And if you are not able to live up to expectations, go back to your parliament seat and we bring somebody who has what it takes to take us to the promised land.
And that's the challenge, that in parliamentary government, you can always be holding elections and then you have an instability and then parties are unable to build coalitions and that destabilizes government. How would ours be a bit different?
Well, like I mentioned to you, once we are able to start getting the leadership right, I believe that is going to help us, because you have like minds, majority of like minds in the parliament who believe in the interests of the nation, which of course I believe that's what we have currently in the assembly. So that is what it will ginger the best to come out. And it's the constituents at that point in time, because you want to see your own parliamentarian or your representative at the highest level. So you know what it means to get somebody at the highest level.
So you have to get quality representation.
Exactly. So we have to be deliberate. We have to be deliberate.
Yeah.
You know, we have to plan well. If you don't plan, nobody will do it for us. And you know, we are not looking at copying democracies. No, let's have our own homegrown democracy. That's why we want everybody to be part of this discussion.
And Honorable Dasuki, you're putting a 2031 date. Well, the Afenifere disagrees with you. They says it should start in 2 years or 3 years' time. And that, I mean, we need this as if it was yesterday. How do you react?
Well, I saw the statement from them that it should start in 2 or 3 years. But why we said 2013? Because we need to have phase by phase. For example, just about a week ago, we had one of the electoral amendments, which says that let's have all the elections in one day, which had the majority of parliamentarians supported it. So these are part of the things that we should have in 2027 election. We need to phase this out and have a commencement date, because you know we don't want it to crash. We want to agree and have a general consensus amongst we Nigerians. So let's believe that this is working for us, and commencement date start 20, but we need to phase it. That's why we are saying 2031 by God's grace. But some of the things that we are trying to amend, we want them to start as early as 2027 election. Like I said, from INEC in particular. We want to have a credible elections, hold elections in one day. We see no reason why we should be wasting hundreds of billions for 2 elections. Why? It doesn't even make sense now. Why do we have to hundreds of billions? Why 2 weeks in between, when we can do this within just 1 day?
That's for presidential and governorship.
Exactly. And the amount of money that we're giving INEC with regards to technology is too much. So with what they have, we expect them to have this within a few hours, within a day. So I think that's why we're saying let's face it. And we're trying to be realistic. The best thing is to face it so that we don't have any problems in between. And that's why we said 2031. We thought about it and came up with that commencement date.
Well, as we try to round off this conversation, you and I know that for you to be successful in a constitutional amendment exercise, at the moment, whether you're having an old constitution or new one, you would need 2/3 of the 36 state houses of assembly. And so the states will play a crucial role in this, especially since you're also transitioning them also, and then you said local governments inclusive. How would you be able to work with the state governors to ensure that we have the 24 required state that will back the National Assembly if this pass through in both houses to be able to birth this constitution?
That is the more reason we started it very early. We need to sit down amongst ourselves and agree. We need to reach out. We need to spend time for them to understand where we are coming from and where we want to go to. Because we're in a position of authority today doesn't mean we'll be there forever. Yeah. For example, those governors that stopped the National Assembly from their state assemblies from passing the state assemblies autonomy, the majority of them ended up in the Senate. And you're looking for autonomy for the same people they denied. So, I mean, we need to even guide those that are here. We are here today, tomorrow we are not here. Yeah. But it's Nigeria, it's the system. We want a system that works for everybody. And at the end of the day, we want a constitution that we can say, we the people. And that's what we are looking at. And by God's grace, the parliamentary system, we believe, is a constitution that we say, we the people. And the way we are going about it, the methodology, we make sure we reach out to everybody. Whether you agree or not, we'll sit down and make you believe that this is the best. We'll convince you.
Yeah, and you've started building that consensus by visiting some elder statesmen. Yes, yesterday you were in Kano to meet with an elder statesman. Then talk to us about the reception and how's the feeling like?
Fantastic. It was an excellent reception. Like you saw, your TV, I saw, covered it. He gave us his support 100%. And he said he believed Nigeria's problem, this is one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria, going to presidential system. There was no justification whatsoever for us to move to a presidential system. So he said he's 100% in support of this, and he will rally anybody that we believe he needs to for us to achieve this. But he thinks and believes that this is the best way for Nigeria to move forward. And
just before I let you go, the Afenifere also in their statement said that for this to be successful, it has to be tied to restructuring and then the 1963 Constitution. Are you thinking of having a critical look at all of that?
Well, like I said, you know, they are part of the people, their organizations. We are going to reach out to them. We'll sit down, and a lot of stakeholders. You know, we are not having a perfect presentation, but we have inputs from all strata of life, and I believe it's going to help us have a constitution, like I said, we the people. That is what we want to achieve. Irrespective of our differences, we'll reach out to you. God bless.
All right, well, we wish you all the best. I mean, the benefits of the parliamentary democracy is that, I mean, you could actually get the best from every part of the country, and there'll be lots of coalitions, consensus, and all of that. Honorable Abdussamad Dasuki is actually one of the spokesman of the 60 federal lawmakers who are canvassing Nigeria's return to a parliamentary system of government. And we must thank you so much for helping us to understand this. And we wish you all the best. I mean, lots of conversations. We've had the national conference and all of that, several constitutional reviews. And we just hope that Nigerians are able to accept your propositions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're still watching Arise Primetime. Plenty more still ahead.